What's up, dudes? Max here. Really quickly wanted to make a video about one of the hottest topics of Mortal Kombat 11 that I haven't had an opportunity to sort of follow up on because it's been a few days. We've had some moments to digest the information, and that's about the DLC for the game. We were already revealed in trailer that Shang Tsung, along with 3 other characters, are going to be confirmed, being Shang Tsung himself, along with Nightwolf, Sindel, and my personal most requested fighting game character to be in a fighting game since the last fighting game he was in, Spawn. I can talk a lot about Spawn, and I've made 2 separate videos in the past, one of him hoping to be in Mortal Kombat X, another one of him hoping to be in Injustice 2, and eventually Mortal Kombat 11 would be the game where he finally makes his appearance, so I'm happy about that. I think I'm most concerned, if we're going to talk about these DLC characters, about Spawn's appearance, because Spawn has gone through some major transformations over the very long runtime the character has had through comics and shows and a movie and everything like that, and I'm just looking forward to the options. I think one of the challenges that NRS has with a lot of these DLC characters is that they have to make a lot of weird costume pieces. They have to sort of approach the DLC characters similar to the way they approach the regular characters in the game. So it's not just going to be like, oh, here's an alternate costume and here's your base costume, have fun. You're probably going to get a wide variety of, hopefully, masks that Spawn's going to have, and hopefully some of the other big outlying, like, things that change the way he looks, between, like, his gauntlets, between his boots, and stuff of that nature. So you're going to get, like, multiple skins, multiple gear options. I think that will be very cool. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to probably the most, that we can get an unmasked Spawn, we can get a classic masked Spawn, we can get one where he's got the shoelace thing on his head. All that shit would be really damn cool. But I personally hope, if we're going to talk about all these characters first and who the other characters might be second, I really want Spawn to utilize his chains as well as his damn cape. You really think back, and Spawn has never really utilized his cape very well in a lot of the games he's been in because it's always been a technical nightmare, like I was saying in the reaction video. It would just be awesome if NRS figured out some crazy tech to make the cape just look really damn cool. I'd be a little disappointed if there was not a lot of cape action, if it was limited to, like, cinematics or something like that. So there's a lot to work with Spawn. He's got guns, he's got magic, he's got a lot of tools at his disposal, and he can also be a brawler. The other characters, though, I got a variety of opinions. So let's quickly talk about Sindel. Between the many Mortal Kombat female characters that have been added, Sindel is definitely lower on my personal likes and needs and wants. I would very much like to see, you know, Melina and other characters like that definitely make a return. I feel that they sort of are more rooted in Mortal Kombat history and as far as what people love. Sindel, of course, was a welcome addition to Mortal Kombat 9, but she is one of those characters that was a part of Mortal Kombat 9, and I feel the core roster of MK9, almost every single one of those characters, is what you need to establish as being a great MK roster. And that's where they sort of bit themselves in the ass. When MK9 came out, they wanted to reinvigorate Mortal Kombat, they wanted to revitalize it and put it back into the eye and bring all the characters back that you would love. So a lot of MKX and MK11 seems to be a lot of MK9 chasing in many ways. And with what they did with MKX was cool because they added some characters from classic games. They added Tremor, which was only in very select versions of MKs back in the day. So I see what they're doing. It seems that right now they're sort of approaching it where many of the characters you're going to be looking for are probably going to be DLC. And I know a lot of people are already mentioning the obvious, like Smoke and Shang Tsung, along with like Reptile and Ermac, and all those characters sort of being combined into one. I don't think that's a death sentence for like Shang Tsung sort of absorbing those characters and those characters not making an appearance in the future. I don't think that's the case. I think Mortal Kombat 11 is going to get a lot more DLC than we think it's going to get in the long run. And there's a better chance that those characters might be sort of reevaluated in some way instead of just having the basic Mortal Kombat 9 moveset. Because if you look at what they do, he pretty much is using the MK9 moves back from where, you know, the last tournament took place, but when we were introduced to Shang Tsung, or at least reintroduced to him in MK9. So I think if there's going to be those characters coming back, it's not going to be their classic ninja looks. They're going to be looking a lot different, obviously, because they do. So I wouldn't think that that's a death sentence. So Sindel in general, like, once again, another character that's a part of Mortal Kombat 9, I'm not super thrilled about because I want to see her change. I want to see her go through a big sort of redesign. I'm curious how she's going to look. I'm curious if she's going to be like the younger version of herself, because based on the story, that is going to be a big part of it. But in terms of like my overall rating for Sindel amongst other DLC characters, it's at like a 4 or a 5. Nightwolf, however, I'm going to put it maybe a 6 or a 7. And that's because I think Nightwolf is one of those characters that is absolutely primed for a heavy redesign. Between the versions that we saw originally of Nightwolf back in the MK3s and some slightly different variations we saw between the 3D games and MK9, this character's always been very basic. He's never gone through a big transformation outside of like some weird alternate costumes where he's got like a wolf on his head or something like that. I think Nightwolf just needs to look friggin' awesome. And I don't think he's ever looked awesome because he does have the gameplay opportunities to be really damn cool using, you know, different types of magic and stuff like that. I have better hopes for Nightwolf being kind of an awesome character than Sindel, and I feel that there were some other female characters I would definitely have put in there than Sindel. There was also some other male characters I would have put in there besides Nightwolf, but those are interesting additions because those are, at this point, Mortal Kombat 9 legacy characters because, well, they had pretty big impacts on the story, Nightwolf and Sindel especially, and I'm curious to see what direction they're going to go with all that information and how it's going to impact the characters and how they're going to be in MK11. So we talked about Spawn, we talked about Shang Tsung, Nightwolf, and Sindel. The big one is, who are those two other remaining characters? They have been announced officially as being 2 guest characters, but the trailer itself has already given us a lot of information as far as who they are going to be, and based on some stuff we've heard in the past, practically is confirmation. So this isn't a, I'm gonna say practically confirmation because it's a good chance, but there's also a chance this could be happening, and they are just throwing us for a loop completely. But at the end of the trailer, everyone heard it, and I didn't really hear it when I first saw it. There is a very specific stinger of a garden tool of some kind. And then after that, there's another specific stinger of a very kind of notable music note that you have heard from very popular media. Yeah, that sounds a lot like Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, Ash, as well as the Terminator. So I think there's a very good chance of these characters showing up in the game. There's also some evidence of Bruce Campbell in the past on Twitter, specifically saying that this character from this movie is not going to be showing up in Mortal Kombat, sorry. And then later, once something has been shown up in a trailer and there's like that teaser, he's kind of like, oh, you should go check out this game, it's really cool. So I think those guys are like masters of trolling. They're masters of trying to subvert your expectations from what they're going to be to eventually make you happy because it's going to happen. And I think it's a very good chance that Ash is going to be in the game. I just hope that they go to the extra lengths and they get Bruce Campbell as the actor to voice and look the likeness, because that is an absolute necessity of this character. And I just want all the crazy quirks and mannerisms. It would be great if it was like younger Ash, much less an older Ash. If he utilizes, you know, everything that you kind of see in the movies between the boomstick and, you know, the damn chainsaw, and there's a lot that can be done with him. And I feel that he fits in Mortal Kombat extremely well based on the movies that he came from. So I think that's a really good call. I like Ash way more than I like Leatherface, for example. But the guest characters in MKX were very hard to beat, and a lot of people were predicting that, even based on the chainsaw sort of like teases that was happening with MKX, that Ash was going to be in that game too. Makes a lot of sense that he would pop in here, right? The other big one that I know a lot of people are going to be excited as hell about, including myself, is the Terminator potentially being a playable character in MK11. This one's weird to me. Like the first thing that pops in your head is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is he going to play the likeness in some way? I think that's a dream come true, but it's a very low chance. There is a Terminator movie that's coming out with Arnold playing the Terminator once again, so I think there's a good chance of some sort of cross-promotional thing sort of happening. And that is ideal. That's why Spawn's also happening, because Spawn's kind of a movie that's going to be in the presence of mind very soon, especially at Comic-Con. But Arnold kind of has to be the Terminator, right? Like, that you would think that that would be a high priority for this character, especially considering the fact that Spawn is going to be voiced by Keith David, who was the same voice actor who played him in the Spawn animated series. He's largely, like, you might know him from Goliath, from, like, Gargoyles and stuff like that, and his many acting performances in, like, Saints Row and everything else like that. But, yeah, that's the perfect voice for Spawn, and it's always been my de facto Spawn voice whenever I've heard him in my head. And I still think Keith David, even this, like, 20 years later, can still provide an amazing sounding Spawn, so very happy about that. But just like with Ash, just like with Spawn, Arnold kind of has to be the Terminator. Is Arnold's voice going to be the Terminator? Is his face going to be the Terminator? Is it going to be his body likeness from like the old Terminator 1 and 2? there's a lot of questions we got here. Is it going to have like battle damage is it going to be just the T-800 endoskeleton? And also gameplay-wise, Terminator's largely a character that sort of runs around, punches, and shoots guns. How are they going to make that stuff interesting? He doesn't really have eye lasers or any crazy superhero powers. He's just a metal dude that is relatively indestructible in many ways. So I'm curious. I'm going to leave it up to the NRS designers to make characters interesting. They were able to make the Predator absolutely amazing and incredibly fun to play between the 3 variations in the previous game. And they did a pretty damn good job with Alien integrating like Tarkatan sort of weaponry as well as like Baraka playstyle into the Alien from Mortal Kombat X. So I have good hopes because they've done a great job with guest characters before, Jason included. And I would love to see the fact that, yeah, Arnie is actually the Terminator. That would make me extremely happy, but I still feel that I, for some reason, don't think that's going to happen. I think we just might get a robot-ass endoskeleton on this dude, and it might not be like the human likeness, but best case scenario, Spawn has a lot of different visual options. Best case scenario, the Terminator has a bunch of different visual options if he is in the game. In the best case scenario, Ash is played and sounds just like we remember him. That would be extremely cool, but I'm fairly sure that we have a pretty good, based on this tease at the end of the trailer, pretty good chance that it's going to be Ash from Evil Dead as well as the Terminator from the Terminator. Let me know what you guys think about those 2 guest characters in the comments below. I think they're going to be fairly popular. I think that'll do a lot for Mortal Kombat 11 as far as bringing people in, because that's always been one of the big things of MK as far as appealing towards a wider audience is getting those characters back. However, I love Spawn. I love the fact that these characters are going to make it in, but it still kind of grinds my gears a little bit that some of the other classic MK characters aren't making it back just yet. I kind of hope that maybe the next season, or if there is going to be more seasons of DLC for Mortal Kombat, that they're a little bit more reserved with maybe some less guest characters so that we can sort of focus on getting some of those classics back. The reptiles, the smokes, the robots, the Melinas and stuff like that. And there's many more I'm not even mentioning. There's a lot of MK characters that I feel definitely should be done visual justice in this game, and hopefully gameplay justice as well. So we'll see what happens. There was a lot of stuff in that trailer also that seemed like maybe crushing blows are changing. Maybe things might get easier for certain characters because Shang Tsung did Raiden's crushing blow, and that normally is crazy hard to do. I hope so, man. That's one of my biggest hopes of MK11 is variations in crushing blows. And I think we'll talk about that in a future video because it's a lot to talk about with the way this game handles its variations and the way crushing blows are distributed between the characters. But another time, another video. Thank you guys a ton for watching. I'll be back with more updates as soon as possible. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.